Have you ever had that feeling like you're just a cog in some giant, indifferent machine? That no matter what you do, you just can't seem to make a real difference? Well, today, we're diving deep into that feeling, that pervasive sense of powerlessness.
It's a huge question, and a lot of us are asking it. I mean, is this something that's been done to us? Have we been conditioned to believe our destiny is completely out of our hands? Or have we just forgotten how to tap into the power we already have?
You know, a lot of thinkers have been sounding the alarm for a while now, saying that modern society is in a pretty visible state of decline. And it's not just about the economy. It feels more like our shared values are just adrift. This is what Henry David Thoreau was talking about when he called us a broken population. People who've become so submissive, we just follow orders without a second thought. And that just feeds right back into that feeling that we're not really in the driver's seat.
So here's the game plan for this explainer. First, we're going to try and diagnose this societal sickness. Then we'll dig into the psychological chains that seem to be holding us back. And finally, the most important part, we'll look at the path to getting our individual power back.
All right, let's jump right in. We'll start with the big picture. What's going on with our society?
Okay, so think about it. Way back when, fitting in was literally a survival skill. But what happens when normal becomes toxic? When the society you're in starts rewarding conformity more than authenticity? Well, that pressure to just go along with the crowd, that's where things like anxiety and depression can really take root. And it leaves us totally unprepared for the curveballs life throws at us.
Okay, so that's the big picture. But how does this sickness, get inside our heads? Let's talk about the psychological chains that keep us feeling so stuck.
It's like we've been brought up in this modern cult of safety. We're constantly encouraged to trade our freedom for what's just a promise of security. And what that does is it builds this kind of velvet cage around us. It's comfortable, sure, but the bars are made of comfort and the fear of what other people will think.
And this trade-off, it leads to a really interesting state called subjective helplessness. See, a child is objectively helpless. They genuinely depend on others to survive. But as adults, we start to internalize a belief that we're helpless, even when we actually have the power to change things. That mindset just sucks the meaning out of life and has us constantly waiting for someone else to come along and fix our problems.
And that feeling of helplessness gets supercharged by this kind of mental tunnel vision. We get totally obsessed with trying to control every tiny detail, constantly scanning for what could go wrong. And when we're that hyper-focused on threats, we completely miss the bigger picture. We're in this constant state of high alert, and it just blinds us to new opportunities and basically puts the brakes on our own growth. So all of this creates a pretty unhealthy power imbalance, right? Between those who are in charge and, well, everybody else.
I mean, this isn't new. Rulers have used the divide and conquer playbook for centuries. You create conflict, you amplify it, you get groups fighting each other, and suddenly the population as a whole is weaker and a whole lot easier to control.
To really get what's at stake here, we have to look inward at our own inner drive. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche had a name for it, the will to power. And listen, this isn't about dominating other people. It's about that fundamental human urge to grow, to tackle challenges, and to become the master of your own life. It's a potential that's inside every single one of us.
But in a society that practically cheers for helplessness, a lot of us end up with what Carl Jung called psychological deflation. It's like your whole personality just shrinks. You lose contact with that inner drive, that will to power. You become more passive, more obedient, and you kind of lose the ability to think for yourself.
Okay, so here's the big question. How do we fix this? How do we cure this soul sickness? The answer isn't out there in more laws or new politics. It's internal. It's inside us.
And the cure? It starts with finding what Carl Jung called a vocation. And no, we're not just talking about a job or a career. This is an inner calling. It's something that pushes you to set a course for your own life where you are the one at the helm. You're the final authority. What this really means is replacing that fragile, constructed self, the one that's built on stuff like your job title, your social status, what you own, with a resilient, discovered self. This is the self that's cultivated from your unique, built-in abilities, your virtues, your skills, your character. It's something you don't build, you unearth it.
So this journey of rediscovery really has 3 key steps. First, you've got to break the chains of custom, of just doing what's expected. Second, you have to actively develop your inner character to build up that discovered self. And third, you need to find a meaningful long-term goal that you can orient your whole life around.
Ralph Waldo Emerson said it perfectly. Whoso would be a man must be a nonconformist. And look, this isn't about being a rebel just for the heck of it. It's about having the guts to forge your own path so you can become who you were truly meant to be.
Okay, let's bring this all home. In this last section, we're going to see how all of this comes together to empower you, the individual.
You see, the future of our civilization, it doesn't really rest on big movements or new laws. According to Jung, it depends on the intrepid few, those individuals who simply refuse to be broken, who refuse to be flattened out by the pressure of the collective.
Real, lasting change, it always starts with individuals. It's the buildup, the accumulation of all these personal transformations that can actually solve the problems that politics will never touch. It all starts with you.
And I want you to hold on to this powerful idea from Carl Jung. He said, a single, self-reliant person, someone who's found their calling and built their character, has the potential to be the make-weight, the one thing that tips the scales, the single factor that decides whether we live in a world of slaves or a world of free people.
So that really brings it all down to one question. What are you going to choose? Are you willing to get off the sidelines of your own life, to embrace the risk and the incredible reward of becoming an extraordinary individual? Because in the end, that choice, it's all yours.